Well then,
What's
we're
up?
back.
We're here.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. It is hot o'clock sitting on this floor because
Hot
Yeah,
o'clock.
yeah.
I
I'm
lack
under.
ventilation. I have a fan. I don't know why I'm not using it, but anyway, I'm sorry. Hi, welcome everyone for joining us another week here on We Are Sober podcast with Justin and Rollin slash name changing person.
Shh, don't tell anyone about the last one.
Okay, well,
Just Rallon.
you had a lot, so
I had one.
even
What are you talking about?
well, you were deemed to be a Malik lookalike. I forget the guy's
Oh
name.
yeah, Rami Malek. Yes,
Oh shit! I even fucked up the whole name. All right, well,
that's
at
great.
least you knew what I was talking about, so that's fine.
Close enough.
Close enough. Mm, like it matters.
I'll dress like the guy from. I'll dress like his iRobot, persona at some point, just to throw everybody off.
Oh shoot! I only seen like maybe like the what do you call it? The pilot episode and maybe the first episode when it of course came out, but the rest of it I got lost. Or I just didn't continue to watch it anymore. But it was pretty decent.
Okay. I've only seen like snippets of it on, like trailers and stuff.
Mm,
I don't
well,
watch my own stuff.
oh, I see what you did there. I don't know if Justin's seen it. He's too heavy into Grey's Anatomy.
No, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
That's
What
fine.
what are TV?
What are TV?
On our TV. Grey's Anatomy and Moana. That's all he knows. Pretty much.
I almost broke out with a Moana song.
No, we can't get a copyright strike.
You're welcome. Yeah. No real topic. I'm sure some folks will flood in because I just sent the StreamYard link to whoever I could.
Just out to everybody.
This is like, you know what? Oh well.
Just put it on Twitter and see who pops in.
Yeah. That's pretty much what I
Whoa.
did.
That is a risky move.
Hey.
We're gonna get a lot of butts.
Sometimes
That's like,
I like to take a risk.
well, that's like sometimes I've got on like the Zooms for like the recovering from religion like Monday things, and sometimes
Yeah.
I just like flick through the different people on Zoom, and one time there was like a dancing ninja, and I'm just like, okay, he's not like being disruptive, he's just a ninja who's dancing in his little bubble, like he wasn't making noises or anything. I think he got kicked out anyway, but it's like, okay, dancing
He was
ninja.
too distracting. He was
I
too
guess so,
good.
but it's like if you're on a Zoom with like 20 something people, you can move them around or make it so only the persons and or if they're sharing their
Right.
screen, they can only see like a limited number of people. But I guess they were like, oh, he's a troll, I'll kick him out anyway. I'm just like, all right, but
Aww.
it's okay. He's just being a dancing ninja.
He could have just been working out and then trying to, get some recovery
No,
from
he was
religion.
like voguing in like as a ninja outfit or something. It was just a glimpse, but it was just funny to watch, and that's like that's the
That's
risk you
legit.
take when you open it up into the.
Hey, Christine. Christine is awesome. That's like Justin's friend, by the way. She's like the only one that watches us through Twitch. I love Christine. um, well, that's sad though. But I mean, I don't think why would it be a concern if like because from when I used to kind of consistently watch the RFR on Mondays, I mean, it's not like you see other people. Is it just because they just simply thought the person was distracting?
Maybe it
So,
might have been just like an abundance of caution. Like,
mm,
they have people who pop into the chat and are, being trolly a lot. Like, I only know kind of after the fact because
yeah.
I did some of the editing for the videos. So sometimes they'll, they record everything and they don't have any pauses, and that's what I edit out. They'll be like, oh, hold on, we have to deal with some people in the chat and people are being trolls, or oh, don't worry, so and so got rid of these people in the chat or something. So maybe they thought that he was just like a troll about to happen. So they're like, yeah, let's just get rid of him now.
Aw, well,
But
you know, hey, you run your own show. You good?
I'm great.
Okay. You should
It's
be great.
it's late for us, Jenna. We're
Yeah.
East Coast
Is
people. Yeah, it's like 9:30 for us.
No way.
Yeah, that's how time zones work. Even though
Ew.
Justin's like 50 miles away from me. Probably way more than that, like a million miles away.
50. 'Cause
I was
that's
like
how
50, it's
distant.
like-
That's how
how
distance works.
Yeah, 50 or a
There's
million,
only New
somewhere
Jersey.
in there.
Nothing past that. Yeah, you're like
Well, yeah. So you're at
Well,
only New Jersey exists, and
Yeah.
Jena's only California exists.
Everything else is just whatever.
Have either of you ever been to a different state?
Yeah, I went to school in Ohio.
Okay.
I mean, okay.
Yeah,
I've
I'm that far away.
You're probably like 800 miles away from me, maybe.
Yeah, I'm as
Something
far
like that.
away as school was.
I've been to
But
Vegas. Technically, that's in
that doesn't
Nevada.
count. No.
I know. I've
Vegas
said
is just
that.
part of California. Just won't admit it.
Thank you. Thank you. Like, why? What the hell is why Nevada? Just keep Reno. You're fine.
Well, look who it is.
Oh, hey! If you want, you can join us. OA.
We'll let you talk
Like
this
calling her
time and
OA
not
now.
go on off our own tangents.
You know,
Jeez.
disclaimer, we like to talk. So it's okay if you talk over each other because, that's the only way you can get a word in.
Because you're rude.
I'm very rude. I
Jenna's gonna start
apologize.
muting us.
Shut up. Shut up, everyone.
Someone, we need a moderator. Moderator.
Mute the host.
Shoot. I mean,
Mods have too much power.
technically that's Stittix, but he's only in a chat and he refuses to show himself one of these days when he retires.
To hide.
That's the only reason. That's the only way. No, that's cool. OA, thank you. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. If y'all don't know, OA was on our show last week. Very good conversation, and then some right after. I enjoyed it. So appreciate you stopping by, of course. You know what? I was gonna say something and I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. That happens.
Yeah, it's just been wild. Like just the
Don't make
past
me
couple
talk.
weeks. Nah, it's just been wild stuff happening. Just like every time I'm on Twitter, something confangled is going on. I'm just like, I should just get off Twitter. But then I feel like I won't know anything.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
Twitter, it's interesting how easy it is to get involved in a national conversation on Twitter. It's you can kind of do that on Facebook, but it's like it's I think it's harder to find a page or an outlet because there's very specific ones that kind of get moved to the top of your timeline and they're so the algorithms kind of like put certain outlets in front of you and there's certain outlets where the conversation is just toxic every single time and it's pointless to even try. Like if like CNN or Fox or whatever is like where the conversation is happening, it's impossible to have a conversation there. I think Twitter has a more robust space to have these conversations in because you can easily respond to a response to the conversation and then just only go down that specific sub thread of conversations with based on that other response that's already there and that person's a whole different page and kind of trail off from there. So it's definitely changed how recently for me, like how I choose to get information or see like kind of what the public opinion and our ideas or responses are to different situations. I think it's the quickest and easiest way to get a feel for what's going on and how people feel about it.
Or at least
No,
get a
yeah.
feel for what you kind of focus on. Because like I remember when I went on Twitter, like back in college or something. I don't even remember. I think I just like mostly followed friends, and you got like occasional snippets of things. But now it's like, all right, now I follow a lot of like atheist experience and a lot of the different personalities on there, and then you hear like every single thing going on with like religious, stuff happening everywhere. And it's just like, man, you could really frame how you see the world just by who you follow on Twitter.
That
Because
is
like
so true.
if I followed people like Jordan Peterson or like Ben Shapiro and just kind of followed based on what they
Then you're
talked
in that
about,
pool of
you
folks.
would be like in a whole other world. And it's just kind of it just kind of hit me at that point. I'm like, yeah, I'm like inundated with like all this stuff about religion. And before, like, I was in a liberal, not super religious place. So
No, that makes sense. Even I just learning how all that is. Like I haven't visibly seen like on I guess Twitter feed, I guess you could say, um any level of toxicity or toxic conversations that just happen to come up a lot. I mean, that could just only be like I have my choice of people that I follow and versus people that follow me, and then all of whom have the general same ideals and conversations and things like that I have. So I haven't, as much as maybe Justin and other friends that we have had those toxic conversations or Twitter fights and stuff. Like I've yet to have my. So all right, I'm not good at fights anyway, but whatever. Doesn't matter.
YouTube's been doing that all day, Ollie man. It was doing it to the other shows that run earlier too.
Oh, what do you mean? What? Doing what?
He said he couldn't find the link to the show.
Oh, and I didn't even. Did I even put it in the Discord?
No.
I think I
Wow.
at least tweeted it. I did. I'm
I did see
starting
that.
to do
Yeah.
that.
Speaking of Twitter, like you can't interact with us unless you're on Twitter now.
Yeah, I realize that if I want to be any sort of personality on anything, I have to actually like be on Twitter and do things. I'm just like, what do I put? I'm just gonna put random
Yeah.
shit. Like, look at my succulent telling me how much it's dying, and I'm like, sorry.
Right. Hi, Edger. Yeah, sorry, Ollie man. I failed to actually put the YouTube link in Discord. So my B. I mean maybe.
No, the laundry's that way.
Okay, so it's adjacent. He's laundry adjacent.
Yep.
I gotta stop
Wow.
saying. I know. I'm sorry. I gotta stop using that term. Ah.
What you were saying about easy to create these bubbles on Twitter, it's the same way on Facebook or any social media. All of them are designed for engagement and to maximize engagement. They're designed to show you content that you want to see. So you keep scrolling because if as soon as you hit something that you're not interested in or that doesn't suit what you're looking for, the more likely you are to sign off for the day or for the hour or for the 5 minutes if it's Twitter. So it's they're all designed to just things that like are controversial or things that are in your bubble or just things that are designed for maximum engagement, and all of them do it. But it's even on like Facebook, it's easy to, and Twitter is probably the same way, but it's easy to follow like science channels, pro-vaccine, secular, like all these like scientists or respected news journals and websites and all this other stuff. And then when you see people commenting on them and you're like, well, how, like where are all these opinions coming from that are flooding these channels that are should be filled with conversations that are evidence and research and reason-based conversations. You don't see that, but what you don't see is the groups with 250,000 people, 300,000 people that are just like off the wall. Like one of them that just got recently taken down was the vaccine like re-education group or something. It was a conspiracy theory group with over 250,000 people in it that was just
Vaccine
pushing vaccine conspiracies, but those spread out into like all sorts of different
Smaller groups or
anti-science. Well, no, I
okay.
just mean they start off at one thing, but the reasoning behind being anti-vax leads to a whole bunch of other bad ideas.
Oh yeah.
So they kind of like spin out of control, and then one of the reasons they got shut down is because that group was directly related to two parents not giving their kid the vitamin K shot when they were born, and they died of what is it, like bleeding out because your blood doesn't clot correctly without vitamin K.
Right.
So they
anemic or something.
yeah, I'm not sure.
Anemic, yeah, I think it
But
is. Right? Yeah.
so they refused to let the doctor do it, and then their kid died. And that advice and encouragement and that whole conversation, all that stuff, was led back to one of these groups. So it's not enough to say that just leave them be. They're not harming anybody. They just have bad ideas. They're only saying words, this and that. I mean, they create these very toxic and environments where people feel like they're getting, credible information, but they're
Right.
not, and they don't know any better.
Exactly. And that could
And
be just
this is medical information or
mhm.
medical advice that it should, that they're getting, that they think these people have their best interests, and they might have some research, or they might have some knowledge, but they don't, and they're causing real world harm.
Right. And that alone could be just as harmful versus someone directly impeding on your right to even get the vaccine itself because as broad of a reach as social media has, anyone can see that, anyone can be enticed to that language and just take off running with it. And you actually, I won't get into the weeds of the details of the story that you told me and a few others just yesterday of an example of a group that you were a part of or still currently, I'm not sure, that, that leader of said group was spreading that same toxic
Oh yeah, yeah.
information and good on you for refuting them and making them stop, but you know saying it towards a group of individuals that do need it for themselves as well and spreading all that misinformation and misguidedness about the vaccine and COVID in general. So yeah. And then obviously, lately in the news, I keep getting work emails about it with the Johnson vaccine,
Mm-hmm.
with the cases of the 6 women that have been experiencing um, blood clot issues. But you know, uh, I I think I said this before. I don't know if it was to you or to some other people or someone else entirely that I'm okay with you know the CDC holding off on either continuing having people take it or just Johnson Johnson themselves holding off on distributing it because obviously they don't want to hurt their brand and you know lose out on whatever. But I don't feel or no, it's 100% not well, I won't say 100%. I don't necessarily feel that just taking a small sample size of 6 women to draw a direct correlation to say that, oh, this vaccine is, killing people or harming people. It's not a big enough sample size versus how many people have already got the 1 dose vaccine from J&J anyway.
Yeah, it was incredibly small number, but that's a situation where there's a certain group or a certain mindset of looking at these things that you can't. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you push through and you don't stop, or you don't hold off and do this like internal investigation that they're doing and see if there is a link or anything like that, then people are going to say, well, people are dying, people are getting blood clots, people are doing this and that, and there's nobody's doing anything about it. They're sweeping it under the rug.
Mm,
And on the flip side, the same group of people, the very same people are going to say, oh, well, the CDC and the FDA stopped us from using this, so obviously there's something wrong with it and it's harmful, and we shouldn't ever use it again.
Yeah, that's
mm,
kind of this whole thing of like, not only do like public officials have to like consider the actual risks of like what's going on, they have to worry about public perception of it. Like, like one of my family members was like talking about the vaccine. She's like, well, oh, like when they had the mercury in the vaccine back when they, thought it caused autism, they took the mercury out. That must mean something. I'm like, no, it literally didn't mean anything. They just took it out because everyone was freaking out about it. And it's like, well, we're able to take it out, and it's like it still works. Like the vaccine still works. They just took this out to have people like calm the f down about this thing. And it's like we've already refuted that it doesn't cause autism at all. They took out this chemical because everyone was freaking out, and they were able to, you know,
thimerosal.
yeah, and they were able to have it work without it being in there. They replace it, whatever it was.
Yeah, it
And it's
wasn't
like
even
that's
mercury.
Yeah,
yeah, that's what she thought it was. Yeah, I was
exactly.
just like, okay, but that's the whole thing is that they think that the same thing with like Fauci, where he said, oh, in the beginning he didn't tell people to wear masks, and part of the reason he did that was because he didn't want everybody buying up all the masks for medical people. But then that's like people saying, oh, and that means the masks weren't that important because they didn't ask. And it's like, except exactly what would happen if he immediately said you have to wear masks, is that everybody who was like, who believed that would immediately buy all the masks, and there'd be none for the doctors and the nurses because everyone bought all the masks.
Well, that happened anyway. People were hoarding them, and there was cases where people had thousands and thousands of them. Because they bought them, they were sold out everywhere. You couldn't buy a mask, you couldn't buy hand sanitizer, or alcohol, or Lysol, or toilet paper. There was so many things you just couldn't buy, and that happened anyway. So
I
it's
can't believe it's been a year already. Like, it's been so long. And I just remember, like, I drove to work and like the roads were completely empty because everyone was like locked away, but I still had to go into work in my old job. And I'm like, I miss those days where there was nobody on the street. And this
I've
one
worked
parking
every
lot.
day. Yeah, I worked every day through it.
Yeah, but like, and just thinking about going to stores and everyone like freaking out, like, my mom's like, yeah, when I went to the store, I would like get in there and get out really quickly and only grab a couple of things. And even when I went in, I was like, all right, I'll try to get in and out pretty fast. And you saw like the whole line of hand sanitizers.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just like, that happened a year ago. And now it's like, all right, people are a bit,
No.
calmed down a little bit on, or at least they know better, like how to act. Some people are still like just in denial.
Yeah. No, I recall that too, because I think a week before it actually created the shutdown and the change and everything, I was on vacation because it was the week of my birthday and I didn't go into work. I was just listening to the news and just chilling. I didn't go out and stuff because I was just, at home for that week on pretty much staycation. And then once I actually went back to work that Monday, roads were like super almost not as dead as it eventually got, but it was just like it was dramatically different uh, for me at least, especially since I travel, I go long distance, not, well, I mean, fairly long distance to get to work. Um, and then just shit just changed at work too because no one was allowed in the building. Our patients were allowed to come in the building, and we had to. I don't think at that time we had or made the requirement for people to start wearing masks. It didn't happen until maybe the following week. But yeah, it was dramatic.
Yeah, it was rough because in the beginning, when we had the most strict shutdowns and most strict requirements, the community spread was still very minimal. Like we didn't have that many cases, and
Right.
if we had done a really good job at that point, we might have been better off, or we could have like, but by the time they started talking about flatten the curve and this and that,
Sorry, too late.
people were already so disillusioned and distrustful of the government because of some flip-flops and um, over maybe some overcorrection, like over shutting down or over restricting in areas where it hadn't gotten there yet, and they were already over it, like before it even started. It was already too late. You already lost half of the public trust, and you can argue that we shouldn't have to convince idiots to believe in science, or you shouldn't have to convince people that don't understand water droplets to wear a mask, or you shouldn't have to educate half of America to understand how these things works on the fly because they didn't get an education growing up. And you can make all these arguments, but if you're a health official in the public sector and your job is to inform all Americans or all people, you have to take these things into account, that what the response is going to be if you want to get them to listen. And it's the same thing with any other things with communication, is you have to take that into account, that people are irrational, or people that are going to take things out of context, that people are going to respond in a way that fits their worldview, that fits their preconceived notions of what your intentions are, even if that's not the case. And if you can't account for that, you're losing the game in terms of convincing them of what you want to convince them of. And so if you're not taking those efforts, then you're not taking it seriously that you really want to convince people.
Yeah, but even you told me at the start of this, or at least early on, that the fight was already lost because you already had those subgroups on social media. You already had anti-vaxxers already set in place, like
Hmm.
saying,
Yeah.
denying, 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 and not enough effort from these public health officials putting out the facts and the information ahead of all that.
Yeah.
You
So
already had
they,
that trouble.
well, it's an uphill battle, right? Because a anti-vaxxer can say with 100% confidence and no need to justify or back up claims or provide evidence. They can say confidently that masks are bad, that there's going to be CO2 buildup, that the
Mhm.
government just wants to control you, that these doctors don't know what they're talking about, that there's only 100 cases or 1,000 cases. It's gonna, more people are gonna die from shutting down the economy. They can say all this stuff because there's no repercussions. There's nothing. Nobody does anything to when, and then there's so many people saying these things so loudly over and over again, and nobody's stopping them because the social media platforms had absolutely no interest in shutting down misinformation from the start.
Of course not.
That these things just spread all over the place very rapidly, and not just in science circles. That's the problem. There's not just in science or vaccines or any circles that you would expect these conversations to be in. These are in like
Mom
mom
group.
to mom
Mm,
groups and
exactly.
knitting groups
Mhm.
and even in the groups that I'm in, engineering and even some science adjacent groups,
Mhm.
um, labor groups, people that are doing like construction and stuff like that. All these groups have this information spreading and nobody's stopping it unless there's somebody at the top saying, no, we're not going to allow this to happen on this platform. And
Well,
I've seen that,
well
but
there.
very
Yeah.
rarely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was an uphill battle from the beginning because the scientists and researchers and health practitioners and doctors and stuff, they have to be very careful about what they say and the level of confidence that they say it with. And so when these top level officials say these things with um, that are able to easily be taken out of context or misinterpreted or to framed in a way that makes it easy to turn that argument against them to erode that public trust. It's just an enormous uphill battle, and we were really taken off guard um, on the disinformation battle that came alongside this.
Right. No, you're right. I think
Just
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
it just reminds me, I was listening to the Street Epistemology podcast, and like I was listening to an older episode, and they were talking about, it was like a record of like a convention they were at or something, and basically what it sounded like was that they need to train a bunch of street epistemology people and send them out into the world to challenge everybody's, using street epistemology to challenge everybody's like beliefs and see if that helps like anything. So now I'm just imagining like, all right, we're gonna train like 10,000 street epistemologists, and we're gonna send them into all these different groups, and we're just gonna, they're not gonna like, start spewing, anti or counter stuff because that's just gonna get them banned. But it's like if we teach them how to be peak street epistemologists, maybe we can break through. It's just
These
like, damn.
the bigger versions and the more toxic versions of these groups will
Yeah,
ban those people immediately. The
yeah.
moment that you
Yeah.
question it or question somebody's motives or
Mhm.
even attempt to make them question their own beliefs, it's just like a really conservative religious thing where if it looks like you are there to cast doubt
Mhm.
or to question their beliefs,
Are they
they don't.
canceling me? What is this?
Yeah,
Like,
they will
yeah,
remove you immediately
There you
cancel
go.
culture.
because
Cancel
you're
culture.
if you're there to dilute the movement in any way.
Don't cancel my rights to be against non-existent COVID. What?
I know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the unfortunate thing, um, I I can I can kind of give, and maybe it's just me because I just have that level of patience with people in general, but I can kind of give some leeway to non-medical um um I guess not thinking people. I guess you could say non-medical background people, I guess, that, you know, see and hear the news about something super scary, and then all of a sudden, oh, there's a vaccine. All of a sudden, oh, that's too fast. Like, what are they doing? Like, I could see their their rational viewpoint, even though I think it's slightly irrational, but I can see how their reaction to something so sudden can draw doubt and question, and people pushed against it. It's damaging, and I become increasingly more frustrated, even more so still, when medical professionals um cast that same doubt, or just completely don't believe any of, believe in, the vaccine, or the virus, or anything like that. That becomes even more frustrating for me as a medical professional, because I'm just like, you and maybe I'm just being too lenient. Like, I feel that you should know this, and you are not demonstrating your best practice as a medical professional to, provide assistance to encouraging more people to understand and learn, and be at least confident and comfortable that, their nurse, their doctor, PA, whatever, understands what the virus is, at least, and encourages to be vaccinated. I, and it's too many nurses I've not either one-on-one spoken to, or overheard, or heard from my mother and my sister, since they are also nurses as well. It is very even, oh my gosh, even when, especially with my sister's department, there were a number of, like, two RNs actually, um that, you know had symptoms. This was like a few months back. Had symptoms, actually were tested positive to have COVID, yet still showed up to work. And not only that, for some other two people in the same office to contract it because they refused to not be off work. And I'm like, people, for one, you get 2 weeks paid leave. Why would you fucking still show up to work? I would take that shit. Two, you are putting other people's lives at risk. That should be number one, but hey, the paid leave is sweet. And these are RNs. You would feel that they would have that level of intelligence to not, put other people's lives at risk. Like, fine, you got it, but why would you harm someone else? That's the negligence.
I mean, I think a big part of it is like just changing. Like, there's a structural. Like, the one thing I keep thinking is like, I think back to when I was in high school and like all the classes I went and I had and all the stuff, and most of it was just like remember all this stuff. And like I have general knowledge of like some things, and it was pretty cool to like learn some of the stuff then. But like I don't remember anything from my like AP history class now. Like, I don't remember anything from like my AP biology class now, or like my physics class. Like, there's just a lot of things that I just don't remember because I never use them.
Mhm.
But instead, like, I would have like like a critical, we need like critical thinking, more like skills classes rather than just memorize these things and repeat them after me once I tell you about them.
Right. And I'm wondering, because now that I kind of think about it, and I don't know if I said the story here or not, um, when my sister had her first, about a month ago, she became nearly convinced, or at least shooken up or scared. And again, my sister's a nurse, that a, a church family friend had, reached out to her because they heard the news of her engagement and things like that. And they, of course, in that same conversation, asked about, the vaccine, because they know we're nurses and stuff. And, my sister said, oh, I'm going for mine, and blah, 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 blah. And then this church friend proceeded to instill this doubt in my sister, saying that, I follow this one doctor on Instagram, and she is vehemently telling ladies not to do it because it'll make you infertile, and that freaked my sister out. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, do you even know what the ladies' credentials are for real? Like, oh, I can just go on Instagram and just say I'm a doctor too. That's fine.
Yeah.
Hell, I'm saying that I'm a nurse. I don't think really people believe me,
Yeah.
and that's
There's like
fine.
there's like this difficult thing where like, we have the argument from authority. It's like, oh, this person is a so and so, so we're gonna believe them because of that. And I know some of it is like, oh, because this person is like, a renowned physicist, that means they know everything about history. And it's like, okay, that's one thing. But there's
Mhm.
also like, all right, this person's a doctor, so I'm gonna believe them when they talk about medical stuff. Now, like, in a majority of cases, that's probably okay to do, but
Mhm.
like it's kind of becomes like this issue where sometimes we have these doctors that have no idea still how to do things, or like, they're one sort of doctor that doesn't cover other things, but they still use their doctor credentials to like make points. But you're like, who am I as a little layman to challenge what this doctor is saying and
Mhm.
challenge their medical degree based on some dubious stuff that I've heard. So it's like this difficulty of like relying on authority but knowing when to push back. But how do you know when you, again, as like a non-doctor, can push back on what a doctor has said? So
That
this
is
is
a fair
weird.
question.
And
Yeah.
again, we're always like, oh, we're going to listen to the authority. So like if the CDC says do X, we're going to say, hey, we're going to listen to the CDC to do X. But then when does that become a problem, and when you don't listen? Like, when, like, it's this
Mhm.
whole thing of like, when do you listen? Like, if there's a doctor on Instagram, there are doctors on YouTube and like lawyers on YouTube that like make videos, and they can't offer like advice, but they can kind of do like just general videos,
Mhm.
and they're legit
Mhm.
doctors and lawyers, and you're just like, well, at what point do I not trust them as doctor and lawyer? And if I'm not a doctor or a lawyer, how do I know how to fact check the doctors and lawyers? Do I just have to look at every other doctor and lawyer and see if, I guess, all of them are correct? But what if this one doctor is actually correct and all the other 500 doctors are wrong because they just haven't studied with this? It's this whole thing of like trying to figure out how you navigate different experts and if they're saying different things. I understand if, like, the consensus of doctors or the consensus of people say things, but when it's like a more dubious, things.
Yeah, a lot of times it's we don't know, so we're working with the information what we have, but the information that we have is scant.
Hmm.
Mm.
Uh, you know, case in point, the rheumatoid doctors and how they have progressed in their what they are recommending for immunization for people that are on immunosuppressants. That as we learn more, um, we can make better judgments, I guess.
Sure.
But it's
And then
always a
there's
work in progress, it seems.
And then, I was just looking at what Stick's comment was about, comparing a doctor to the CDC. But then there's also this issue of like, the fallacy of, if everybody thinks it, then it must be true. So it's like you have to like balance these things are fallacies with like these more reasonable, responsible ways of knowing what the truth is. Because it's like, you hear, well, the consensus of doctors says this. Then like
Mhm.
part of my brain is always like, all I hear all the time on like on Matt Dillahunty's show, or like, the atheist experience, is like, oh, just because the majority of people think something doesn't mean it's true. So it's like
Mhm.
trying to balance that. And I know like a bunch of doctors agreeing on some sort of medical thing is different than like a million random people, but you still
Right.
got to like kind of balance that and be like, all right, how do I make sure that these doctors are saying, the correct things versus the other doctors? Because a lot of times it's like, if somebody says,
I can
What's
get
that say?
this to.
Hold on. Hang
yeah,
on.
exactly.
Let me blow you up, sir.
There you go. There you go.
Never underestimate the powers to be. Screw. I love it.
Because it's like, back to that person, or the person who had the Instagram doctor. It's, if you come back with another doctor who like refutes them, then it's like, well, you just have another doctor that says something different, so why should I believe your doctor over the other one? So it's like, we need to have that kind of foundation of how do you figure out if things are correct or not.
It
And
goes back to the primary issue of we lack basic critical thinking skills.
well, we that's part of it, but there's also a widespread erosion of trust in our authoritative organizations. So that's, you know, when you're talking about, do you believe one doctor over another, that should almost never be the question or the case, you know, because what we talk about in science is the scientific consensus on an idea rather than any individual or some number of individual opinions. So what you generally want to look for is position statements put out by large, respected scientific organizations or institutions or these, you know, large bodies that make up, that represent, you know, the bulk of the experts in their the in the related field to what you're talking about. Um, so that's it's we got to get better at steering away from what does this one person or 5 or even 10 people think, and just kind of look at the broader picture of what does the majority of the field think. Because you can't, like, as lay people, you can't argue against that one person whether they're right or wrong. They could be totally wrong, but if they are well credentialed and well educated, it's going to be difficult to make a case against that if they kind of have an idea what they're talking about and they're just abusing their authority to come to some wrong conclusion. But for the most of the time, for the most part, is where it's an argument from authority, and it's a fallacy, because most of the time the people who are putting out this information aren't working and researching, or not experts in the particular field that they're giving advice in. You know, if you're a pediatrician or a family doctor or a dentist, you know, like we have in Congress, or an eye doctor, or you're arguing against immunologists and virologists and you know, people that actually study these things for a living. Those aren't apples to apples. They're not the same experience. They're not the same education. They're not the same level of authority on these particular topics.
Thank you.
So you know, that's why you know, Dr. Fauci is so is like the person that people are listening to, or some people that people should be listening to, or at least giving a lot of credibility to the content that he's putting out, and not just brushing it off in favor of like Rand Paul or something, right? Or whichever one is the eye doctor.
Rand Paul.
So, and it's because one's a legitimately an expert in the field, and if you want to argue against him, that's fine, but you have to argue with him from a position of understanding the content and understanding the research and the necessary science from a similar level, and not just something totally separate, but you happen to have the same 2 letters after your name.
I mean, at least be in the same damn specialty.
Right.
Exactly. I wanted to read out what Stig said. If you were going to challenge the group of experts based on the single/couple of doctors, the concept of experts is worthless. The time for the layperson to believe the one person is when that's
what the group
says. And that's pretty much essentially what picking up of what you said.
Well, and you know, and we talk about this sometimes too, is that this is why people that are conspiracy theorists feel like they're justified, because they feel like they're in on the inside knowledge. They feel like that one person going against the group, going against the grain, is in, you know, is in the know, some insider knowledge, something that, you know, oh, they don't want us to know about this, the powers that be, the authorities, whatever it is. You know, this person is right, and it's an uphill battle, but you know, that's how the tough battles are won, right? Going against the grain. So they feel like they're part of that in group. You know, and this might not be like all conspiracy theorists or anything like that, but it's like a common thread. And you know, it's like big pharma doesn't want you to know, big business, big government, you know, they're hiding this from you. But this one guy on YouTube who's a pediatrician is an expert in, you know, immunology and virology and stuff like that. So let's take his advice because he's saying something different from what's popular. And
Right.
people are some people are contrarian, just for the sake of it.
Is it that it's popular, or is it that what the other person is saying can be molded or can be heard in a way that is more liking to the person that's hearing it? I mean, if one person is saying you have to do all these things that are somewhat irritating or get in your way or causes you to lose money or whatever, and another person is saying, nah, you don't have to do all that stuff, you just have to follow me and use the drink quinine or hydrochloroquine or whatever quine,
Alkaline
you know
water.
yeah, or
Stuff in
alkaline,
the fish tank.
Yeah, it's very much
or
the confirmation bias. If you already believe that masks and stuff work, then you're gonna believe people who say masks work. And if you don't, you're gonna ignore everyone who says masks work and cling on to, red wing, everybody is stupid
Red wing.
Yeah,
hashtag, I don't know,
red meat.
YouTubeman.com or something, who's
Yeah.
like, every, masks don't work and they cause cancer and everything, so don't worry, you were right. So I wonder,
But
yeah,
that
like I was thinking, like I think it's just maybe kind of like the found again. I keep going back to street epistemology, where it's like a big foundation of their question is just how do you know this, or how did they know this? So it's like if they have to think that through and have to be honest about it, which is also sometimes an issue because they won't be honest about it. Is that how does this person know this? Did they just say it? Did they present anything? And how did they get that? How are they able to get that information and blah blah blah. And
But
then
then it's kind of
I
like,
think
and I know you have a point, Justin. I'll let you. But I just recalled, kind of like before we went live, like just you saying people have an issue. I'm kind of saying this verbatim, not verbatim, but people having an issue with putting in chemicals, like something foreign that's not natural. So, right? So when they're met with, something that came to them is very brand new, came out too fast, and all of a sudden um, they are met with this demand that they have to have it in order to, be able to not wear a mask and walk freely and stuff, then they're like, oh, it's, same kind of points that anti-vaxxers already have. Like, oh, this will cause, autism or give you cancer or whatever type of the government trying to control you, blah, blah, blah. It could be based just simply off that single-minded fear of something unnatural, or when the word about the vaccine said mRNA, people are like, it's going to change my DNA. Like,
think that's not how that
right.
no.
works.
yeah, they don't even know what
No.
DNA is.
Well, like
Yeah.
going back to the conversation we had, like I like we're talking about my mom. She made like an offhand joke about how she doesn't want chemicals in her body
Right.
from the
Yeah.
vaccine. I think she was trying to make a joke, but like not doing it in a way that's like really conducive in this
It didn't
environment.
come off
Because like
well.
me and my siblings have gotten all of our vaccinations, so it's like she's fine with shoving chemicals into our bodies apparently. So I'm just like I think she was just trying to make a joke, and
Yeah.
it just was like, mother, you can't do that in this
I,
environment. I might actually think you're an anti-vaxxer and we might have a problem.
that was funny though. Oh, and Justin, I'm sorry, you had a point.
I mean, it's not like important, but I was just my comment earlier about people kind of going against some things because they're popular, and kind of looking for the insider thing. But that's what you see when somebody calls everybody else in the conversation a sheep, or like you're just following trends, or you're only following it because they're a popular
Yeah, you
figure.
damn snowflake.
But when you start calling people a sheep, I mean, what you're literally saying that you only believe it because it's popular. That's what that means, and you're a follower, and you're following, popular opinion, without understanding it or without, caring, whether it's true or not. Um,
Mhm. Mhm.
but that's kind of why some people are just contrarian, for the sake of it, or they feel like if the information is coming from, big whatever it may be, then it must be wrong because big whatever it may be, big boogeyman is always never has your best interest in mind.
No, fair point. Malty, you look cool. How's it going?
All right. Hello. Just yeah, it was an interesting show.
But here,
Amber
yeah.
Lee. Oh yeah, always.
Very interesting show. No.
Yeah. Got a little sour sop.
What? Sour what?
Sour sop.
Is that alcohol?
No, it's not.
You're just gonna be mysterious about it. And
I guess you could ferment it. Here, well, let me look it up. It's
yeah,
it's a
I'm
fruit.
encouraging you to tell us.
It's grown on a tree. It's really sour. They take it and they mix it with water and add some sugar and drink it in some parts of the world. And there was some at the grocery store, so I picked some up. It's okay.
What grocery store do you go to?
Really weird ones.
That
ones
explains
only
a lot.
Malty would know about.
Like I'm wondering, like, I wonder if my grocery store, Stater Brothers, has sour sop. Probably not.
You gotta say the secret password at the back room.
Oh yeah.
and then they'll give you the secret sop.
Hell, okay, well, let me drive 50 miles to a Whole Foods and find out. Maybe they got some.
You gotta go to Malty's place.
Oh, my bad.
The only
Is that
place
the
you can
name of
go.
is that the name of the restaurant of various things? Or the grocery store, I mean.
Grocery
Malty's
store
place.
the grocery store. No, I want it to be called the grocery store of various things. Someone just like, what do you have here? Various things. Like,
Various things.
okay, I don't know what I expected from that.
We have
that
Malty's
question.
things.
Malty's
Yeah.
things.
So wait, sour. Okay, so you said it grows from a tree. So is it a fruit?
It is a fruit, yes.
Okay.
Let's see. Where's my? I need to get the.
This is the segment. Quick,
The
cue
right-
the banner.
Oh,
Get the
shit.
right.
God.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I'm so sorry. Yes, you're right. I haven't dusted this one off in a while. There we go.
Malty tells us about
Yep,
sop.
was. I'm getting to in the chat, and
I'ma share it.
sorry, it's just a Wikipedia. I can get a picture or something
Still
going.
trusted.
Okay.
Wikipedia is trusted source.
It's a trusted source. I use it all the time in my
I
papers.
just loved being in high school and being like, you can't use Wikipedia as a source, and I'm just like, darn it. But now I'm just like, now I know that if I just go to Wikipedia, there's a bunch of sources like in the bottom. I just never thought of that. I was just like, I was a dumb high schooler. I'm a dumb person. You have to like tell me things explicitly for me to figure them out.
It. No, it took no. Funny though, it took me a while to actually go down to the actual references that they keep linking throughout the Wikipedia page and be like, oh, duh, I can pull it from there. I kept spending my time trying to reword what Wikipedia said.
Like find it somewhere else besides Wikipedia. It's
right.
like, oh look, I
like,
found the exact same thing here.
Yeah, but I'm just like, shit, I gotta name the source though still. That's funny.
Okay, here we go. With the aroma similar to pineapple, the flavor of the fruit has been described as a combination of strawberries and apple with sour citrus notes. Contrasting with an underlying thick, creamy texture, reminiscent of banana. Yep.
So the consistency, sorry, of your drink is thick.
It definitely has some pulp in it, and the pulp is kind of thick. Yeah, kind of a gloop of pulp on the side. Not that appetizing. I'll grab I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Oh, please, by all means, sir.
A gloop of pulp.
Is that what you said? A gloop?
I don't know.
Is that a word?
Yeah, it's a measurement.
I looked it up. It looked like a spiny strawberry, pretty much.
What's the units on that?
That's a spiny strawberry, all right.
Like guanabana.
Yeah. Guanabana is is what is called in South America or Mexico.
Chemicals in that. That is totally unnatural.
Can you add alcohol? And if so, what kind?
You
You
can
know.
Yeah,
add
I would go with
alcohol to
white.
anything.
New
I would go with
Amsterdam.
white rum.
White
Definitely.
rum.
Yeah.
Pretty specific.
Yeah, right. Have you done this, Multi?
I don't think the flavor would handle a dark rum. The spiced rum, no, wouldn't go well with. But something like vodka or maybe gin or Bacardi White, that'd be fine. Yeah, see how it's kind of thick.
That is thick. Pause.
That's tick.
Well, you know what? Next time I'm out drinking, I'm gonna ask Multi what I can mix my little fruit cocktail with. 'Cause,
Because
evidently
Malty
you know
knows a
what's
little bit
pairing.
about everything of everything.
And that's why he has his own segment. I
That
love
has
it.
been Malty knows a little bit of everything about everything.
Thank you, sir.
Need a sound thing just for that.
Oh yeah. What Stick said. You can add alcohol to anything. I've added alcohol to alcohol. Okay, recently.
Wow.
Is
That's
that when you drop the flaming shot glass into the beer?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
that's terrible. That's disgusting. Don't do
You're
that.
not doing a
Is that a
Dr.
Jaeger
Pepper?
bomb? That's the Jaeger bomb,
No,
right?
I've done that. No, it's terrible. That's one. Yeah, one of them is Jaeger bomb.
Right.
The other one's
Oh,
Dr.
but this
Pepper.
one's the flaming one. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But no, I added Ciroc to a Truly's can a couple weeks ago. It's good times.
Why? Oh.
Why not?
I don't know.
That's how you take your 5% to like 45%.
Yeah. Dang. Yeah, well, you know what? Hey, you know how to party. Is it the Irish car bomb?
That's Irish car bomb's not flaming.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
It's just disgusting.
All right. Well, now we know.
See, I grew up back in the day when people weren't
When alcohol was on fire.
when alcohol was on fire. People didn't care about blowing out the bottoms of glasses with shot glasses.
Hell
And you didn't
yeah.
get kicked out of bars for puking on the floor.
I remember somebody had the shot glasses gotten hot because they didn't drop it in quickly, and it popped in the bottom of the pint glass, and the bottom of the pint glass just fell right off.
nice.
All of it.
That's cool.
Whoosh.
That's a drink.
That's how you party.
That's how you know that shit.
Yeah.
What?
Sunset Grill.
Sunset Grill.
TGI Fridays.
You know, them Buffalo Wild Wings know how to
Oh
party.
man, there's a Sunset Grill in every town, I'm sure.
Never heard of it, so it's maybe not where I am.
Okay, well, or that type of restaurant, American food with the bar off the side.
So
So every
Chili's,
restaurant-
TGI Fridays.
Yeah,
Every
Chili's.
every restaurant.
Yeah.
Literally every restaurant.
Literally.
Texas Roadhouse.
Well, but no, that's Texas, right? Is that Roadhouse food or is that just Americana?
I don't know. It's great.
Oh, I haven't had it. I'll have to try Texas Roadhouse. Put it on my
Hell.
list.
We've gone so far as to put alcohol in our movie theaters now.
Oh, that's not far enough.
Hey, you need to get sloshed as you're watching Frozen 3. Come on.
Next stop, McDonald's.
First of all, when is Frozen 3 coming out? I need
I
to
have no
know.
idea. I just
God.
picked a random feature movie.
You
that
do
might
need to know. No, this is for Justin. This is important information.
needs to
Yeah.
know
Mortal
when to-
Kombat movie's coming out soon
I heard of that.
in a week.
Oh. You gonna go? Of course you're gonna go.
I don't know, maybe it's gonna be on HBO Max too, though.
Excuse me. Yeah, watch it from home. What?
No, no
God.
sugar added, huh? Let's see. What's in
guys-
this stuff?
You guys don't need alcohol. Smoke weed instead. You will feel better. Not get into fights and not even have the hangover the next morning. Words of wisdom, Ollie man,
Yeah.
who is 24/7 high.
He just has an IV drip of liquidated weed plugged up to him.
I'm sure he would not mind that.
No.
I know
That's
that's
the thing.
definitely a thing. You can confirm this, right, Jenna? That's a thing you can do.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, exactly. A nurse said it. A nurse said it, so that means it must be true.
A nurse on YouTube said.
nurse on
Yeah,
YouTube
a news on YouTube said it.
A nurse on YouTube said you can start an IV of
A
liquid
nurse
ice
sitting on her floor.
on the floor, no less.
Nice
Shows how
pillows.
much
I like those pillows.
you. You know, this is what I spent my money on instead of buying a fucking chair.
Just
More pillows.
Well,
Or
I mean,
a desk, maybe.
you know what? I'm wondering if that would have been a good thing because I still haven't been able to get my chair back together after I pulled it apart. I was trying to fix it
Aren't you
and I
being
broke it
super
more.
healthy and you're on like a yoga ball or something?
I'm on a yoga ball. Yeah, my core is definitely liking working the
Malty
core.
just has 8-pack abs just right now.
See that, folks? You gotta work on your core.
Yep. Take your yoga ball to work.
I can't get it out of the room.
Damn. How'd you get it in?
Well, I blew it up in this room,
All
Now
right,
trapped
dumb
there
question.
forever, can never leave.
but I would
It,
have
it
to
will never know
deflate
the
it
outside.
to be able to move it to a different room.
It will never know the outside world.
You'll
So
never know. It will just know Malty's butt. On that note,
okay.
I guess. Sorry. I guess. Well, I mean, it's true. Damn.
And on
Uh,
that
All
note,
right.
speaking of ends, this is the end of the show.
Speaking of my hairy ass, yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, we're done. It's it's been a good conversation, gentlemen. And thank you. Thank you, chat. Thank you, Ollie man, for your words of wisdom. You know, just for that, if you have more tips on weed, you will get a segment, sir. So keep that in mind. um oh shit, I'm not on my game. I'm sorry.
Nice.
It's too many freaking banners I have. Now I can't even find which one I want. There it is. Found it.
There we go.
All right, so we're gonna move on to the after show. Join us in there to discuss Malty's hairy butt. I don't know,
Weed
whatever you want.
Liquid weed bags.
Liquid weed bags. Please.
And
I will.
manscaping, you betcha.
I will write you a prescription because you know I'm a nurse. I can do that. So join us in the Discord, tiny.cc/IFDC if you're not already there. You can go ahead and follow Justin through Facebook and Twitter. And you can follow me, same places as well. Of course, our links are down at the bottom. You know, Malty, he has the best knowledge of everything, especially how you mix your drinks and what pairing of alcohol goes with it. But Malty is also a nonprofit on the ACA. I
Mhm.
don't think you were on the no, you weren't on the last one, but you were on the previous week. So
Yep.
yeah, continue to support that. Roland,
Rallon.
thank you. I'm bad with names.
Yeah, she can't say anybody's name right. Don't worry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry. Just like I know nothing else exists but California, nothing else exists but my name. Anyway, Rollin, where are you?
I am on Twitter at Rallon Wolfheart, and I occasionally am on Twitch at WolfheartX11. I will fix that to Rallon Wolfheart eventually.
Okay.
Just look WolfheartX11. That's me.
I
All
like
right.
it. Very well, sir. I like it. And on that note, Justin, any final words?
Nope.
That was the
That's
final
his
word.
final word.
Done.
All
Nope.
right.
Done.
Okay.
Sayonara.
All right.
Final word.
Whatever. Bye.